Hello, Assalamu alaikum, Wardi.
Walaikum salam, Hafsana. Nice to meet
How
you.
are you? Nice to meet you too. So, I believe you have something very special to announce to everybody that we are both in the same boat in terms of British Council. What's that all about?
Yes, correct. So me and my team have previously, just a week ago, just finished the British Council credibility, what's it called, an award from our end. So we're really great and really happy for that. So
Brilliant, brilliant. Congratulations. I think this deserves an applause. Hold on. Right, you should hold on. You have to your team as well. Hold on.
yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, Alhamdulillah. So basically, my friends, as you can see, my webinar guest, Wardi, he's from Student Ease. Please, could you tell everybody everything about Student Ease?
All right. So Student Eats was founded a year ago. And one of the main purposes we started this company was we've seen a lot of international students, once they arrive to the UK, they don't have that much support. So we help with all the, small issues that they do face here, like settling in, regarding signing up for a GP, bank, their well-being, even outside of university life, to be fair. So they could concentrate on their main goal, which is to study in the UK. So all that stress that they actually, would encounter, we take it off them and we support them throughout the whole year, or throughout even the whole studies, to be fair, and post studies sometimes.
Brilliant, brilliant. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you do want to contact with Wardi, all his details for his company, WhatsApp, email, and his website and Instagram handle is all in the caption. So do get in touch with his company. Himself and his company team members are all British Council certified. So we're all in the same AQF framework where we are here for ethical practices for international students. Brilliant. So could you tell me what are the possible options for students who want to study in London? And how do
So
you choose the right one according to your budget?
So it all depends on what type of environment student wants to live in. So there are the university halls, which is directly with the university. You got student accommodations, and then you got private HMOs. So you could be flat sharing, which is private, which tends to be a bit more cheaper, but bills or whatnot are not fixed. Whereas university halls and accommodations, they do tend to have fixed costs and security in the building. So a lot of students tend to, when they first arrive to the UK, tend to go into those type of accommodations. Then second and third year and fourth year, they tend to go to private, where they could go to like a HMO flat with their friends that they've met over the years, which tends to be a lot more cheaper and less hassle, to be fair.
So, in terms of budgets, because students may have a budget in mind, so they're watching this video, they will watch this video and they'd like to know how much we're talking about. So, I know, historically, living in London is more compared to the rest of the country, even according to UKVI. But do you have can you say any rough idea about budgets?
I'll say when it comes to student accommodations and university halls, I would say like an ensuite tends to be roughly around 250 to £300 per week, which includes everything. It includes the bills. Whereas, for example, let's say a HMO flat would tend to be something around, let's say each room tend to be a lot more expensive, around 400, £500 ballpark figure. That's excluding bills. So it all varies, to be fair. And London, as you know, the house market right now is rocketing quite high. So I would say before anything, before look at your budget and then have a look around, and always just try to reach out to us. So we tend to help people to the right direction.
Okay. So how soon, once they've got their offer, they've got their visa, and then they book their tickets to arrive in the UK. But how soon should they start planning for accommodation?
I would
How
say
long does it take?
start your research roughly around, I'll say 3 to 4 months prior to you arriving to the UK.
Okay.
And, and you could do viewings roughly around 6 to 8 weeks. It could be even a live viewing, because I know a lot of international students would like to view their accommodation before they arrive.
Okay.
And then moving in tends to be roughly immediate as soon as they come. So I'll say those are the timelines I'll say to go for.
So, are you saying that because we're talking about international students today, that you can actually allow the student to look around on their WhatsApp via video and they can
Correct.
look at the properties. So you can help, you can assist that.
Correct. Yes, we can do. Yeah. So we will go to
Yeah.
accommodations, university halls, and a lot of them do have pre-recordings as well. So we can also do virtual links sent out to students. It's so they can have a look with their families.
Okay, that's good to know. That's very good to know. So what kind of things would you call as non-negotiables that you need to make sure you have before you part with your cash?
Yeah. So before paying, I'll say the non-negotiables would be first verify the address, the company. I'll say number one. The contracts as well, and I'll say make sure that they do have a actual listing and an actual website as well, so something legit. So you don't pay any money until you do all those steps, I'll say. Yeah.
I'm trying to show the questions. Oh, there's the questions. So how would students know that? Because students, they don't know anything about accommodation. Would you be able to guide them through that process?
Yeah, we guide them from start to finish. So we give them options. First, we ask them a few questions in regards to their budget, location. Then we give them a list of companies,
Non-negotiables. Oh,
companies
okay.
for them to for them to have a look at, and then from there onwards, then we take the further steps.
Right. Okay. And what are the upfront costs that you know is requested before you start start moving? And and it says here what payment request should raise a red flag.
Yeah. So a lot of student accommodations and halls will ask for a deposit and advance rent. So that's like a week's rent. That's what they
So
tend to
one
do.
week's rent
1
in
week's rent
advance.
in advance.
Okay.
And anything private like HMOs would tend to ask for a month's rent in advance. So those are the main differences between those halls and the private sector.
So it depends where you go. It could be 1 week or 1 month.
Correct. And I'll say red flags to avoid if a landlord is desperate to, for example, before you viewing or signing any contracts, if they're desperate for you to pay them, or they say stuff like the room's going to go, we've got competition. I'll say rushing will always cause mistakes. So just take it easy and don't rush, because there's a lot of scams going around.
We'll talk about that in a minute. I think students need to know that. So, what kind of questions so you're saying that you'll talk to the student and then you'll discuss about budgets and rooms and location, but what kind of questions should students ask the landlord?
I would say there's house rules. I'll say in regards to, are you allowed to bring a guest over? I'll say in regards to the safety, how does the landlord deal with any security issues in regards to any conflict in the actual flat or accommodation? I'll say also have a look at for a check-in list. So once you arrive, you should receive a check-in list to see if there's any damages or any issues within your flat or room. And also, one of the main things I'll say is your bills and rent. And ask them, does bills include with the rent or is it excluded? Because you do have an extra cost, internet, water bills or whatnot, that could skyrocket the weekly or monthly fee.
So could you please tell everybody what does utility mean and what is the examples of utility bills?
Yeah, so utility bills are things like internet, water bills, gas bills. These tends to be an extra add-on fees. But once it comes to when it comes to student accommodations, they tend to include that all inclusively within your rent. So you can use as much water, as much internet. It's always going to be the same throughout your stay.
And they even have laundry services or a gym, and there's also other fancy things as well in halls, student accommodation.
Accommodations tends to have a laundry service, a gym, security. There's always staff on site as well. So anyone feels anxious, and let's say it's the first year, which a lot of our students tend to do, the first year when they arrive, they will always like to go to a student accommodation because they feel a lot more safer.
Yeah. Okay. If there's a student who's watching right now, Wardi, who's a master's student, they're only here for 1 year, they may not want to go into student accommodation. So what would you recommend to them?
I would recommend a HMO shared flat with fellow master students, which we do source for students. So
Okay.
to help master students into like a bit more mature flat and a bit more quiet space. So that's a service that we also provide.
Sorry, you know the checklist you're talking about, is that known as an inventory list, or are they two
Inventory,
different things?
yeah, it's the same. It's the same.
Okay. So checklist, inventory, they both mean the same thing. And what's usually on the inventory? Because students may not know what that is.
Oh yeah, so it will be a list of all the items in a room or in a flat. So what's included, the amount of items that are there, what's damaged, and so the landlord will tell you which items are in good use, which are damaged. So you check and take photos as well once you arrive into your accommodation or flat, just for any future references if anything goes wrong. So you can always have that on record as well.
And then do you keep that list at the end when you're moving out, and you make sure that all the things on the list should be there when you're leaving?
Correct. Yeah. So you keep that one copy for yourself, and the student accommodation or the landlord will tend to take a copy as well. So once you leave, they do a checkout inspection, check everything if everything's all good and well. And if it's good and well, then they'll return your advance rent or deposit, and you're good to go.
Now go talk about the juicy business, about, well, it's not juicy really, but the scams, because I think that's what we need to talk about, because you're living it, you're seeing it. I hope not every day, but
No.
what unfortunate incidences could you tell us, if that's okay?
Avoid, yes. So a lot of students tend to, when they're desperate, unfortunately, they tend to, make rash decisions, very rash decisions. So first, it depends on where you're actually looking at these listings at. So if you look at places like Facebook Market, if you've seen listings that are getting copied and pasted, for example, if you're getting landlords that are bombarding you or asking for upfront fees as soon as possible before you actually view the actual flat, these are red flags, I would say. And in regards to finding somewhere let's say a listing, I would say the best options are verified websites. So you can always have a look, or you can always come to us to double check if a website is actually legit or not.
They can come to check, to
Yes.
verify it. Okay, cool. So to avoid scams, it's best to just check with you, and if they go onto the website, they can check with you as well. But it has to be a verified website. What do you mean by verified websites? Could you give some examples?
Yeah, like state agents, I would say verified company, where you can actually check the address on company's house, which is basically a database where it has all the listing of all the UK businesses. And whereas, for example, if you go on places like Facebook, you get anyone posting any listing for any room, which tends to be a lot of scams that tend to go on there. Or sometimes people may recommend a place, just word of mouth. And I'll say also be careful and be wary of.
Just be careful.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Next question is, you're doing really well, by the way, Wardi. Okay. It says, what should a student do if something goes wrong after they've moved in? Who can help them?
Yeah. So you've got an in-house, university's got a housing and accommodation and department, which they could help with. Also councils and charities. There's a lot of charities out there that can help with disputes, any problems that they've got. And those are the three best options that I would say.
And private landlord?
Yeah, and the private landlord, I'll say directly to the council if you got any issues. Like if it ain't getting resolved, let's say first, obviously have everything written down, speak to the landlord, have an email trail. So I would say always, and avoid always just having phone call conversations. Always email them straight after you have a conversation, just to verify the issues that you're facing.
That's a really good tip. Ladies and gentlemen, do keep that in mind. If you talk to the landlord, also back it up with an email just to confirm that you've talked to them. So WhatsApp messaging isn't always a good idea. It's always have backup as email. Brilliant. Right. We do, as humans, we all like to plan things. So, you said 3 to 4 months in advance. Not everybody does that, Wardi, honestly. So if you've got students coming in, what's the safest option if they're coming in, within the first 48 to 72 hours if they haven't got any accommodation?
If they don't have no accommodation and it's an urgent matter, and a lot of our students tend to book an Airbnb,
Okay.
or hostel, and these are very short. So I'll say they're a bit expensive, but just for a short term, for a couple of days or a week or so, until they find an accommodation, this is the best option.
So, ladies and gentlemen, as Wardi said, he is qualified in this sector in accommodation. If you have any queries with regards to studying and living in London, so are you specializing just in London accommodation or anywhere else?
All over UK, all over UK.
Brilliant, brilliant. Any last words of wisdom you'd like to share with our viewers?
I'll say, slow down, verify everything, and don't let urgency and let anything decide in regards to booking an accommodation.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much. I wish you all the best. Again, ladies and gentlemen, please follow him on Instagram. All of Wardi's details is actually in the caption. So if you've got any questions, London Wardi, there are multiple intakes throughout the year, even before September. So if you do get stuck with living in the UK, and specifically London for this webinar, just get in touch with Wardi. Thank you so much, and I wish you all the best.
You
Take
too.
care, my friend. Thank you for coming.
No
I
problem.
love this. Assalamu alaikum. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So that is Wardi. As you can see, we are trying to bring you content which is relevant to you. Accommodation is a very sensitive subject and also a very relevant subject, especially this time of year. It's cold, it's horrible. I'm not discouraging you about coming into the UK, but accommodation is a big, big deciding factor. As you can see, Wardi with his company, they are here to help international students. They're very experienced in this field, so do get in touch. And that's how we actually got connected as well. I hope that was helpful. Until the next webinar, my friends, Allah Hafiz, Assalamu alaikum. Bye-bye.